3 months had passed since the incident at the Nexus. Earth was not the same anymore. People were angry. Veterans gathered at war memorials every day. The news talked about nothing else. Everyone had an opinion about what should happen next. General Nam Ji-won sat in her office at Earth Defense Command. She was looking at reports that made her head hurt. The reports showed that people wanted action against the Valkyrie. Some wanted an apology. Others wanted revenge. A few wanted war. Ji-won did not want war. She had been a soldier for 30 years. She knew what war meant. It meant young people dying. It meant families broken. It meant years of rebuilding. But she also knew her duty. If war came, Earth needed to be ready. She called in her best people. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo was now in charge of the Third Fleet. Dr. Bae Suho ran the weapons development program. And there was a young pilot named Lieutenant Shin Min-ho, who everyone said was special. "Show me what we have," Ji-won told Bae Suho. The scientist pulled up holographic displays. "We have been working on new weapons for years just in case we ever needed them. These quantum torpedoes can get through Valkyrie shields. Our new fighters can learn and adapt during battle. And we have something else, neural links." "Neural links?" Ji-won asked. "We can connect a pilot's brain directly to their fighter. They can control the ship like it is part of their body. Reaction time becomes almost instant," Bae Suho explained. "Is it safe?" Ji-won asked. Bae Suho hesitated. "Mostly there are risks. Some pilots have problems after using it for too long. But in battle, it gives us a huge advantage." Lieutenant Shin Min-ho sat in the briefing room with 49 other pilots. They all volunteered for the neural link program. The doctor explained the surgery. It would put a small chip in their brain. The chip would let them connect to specially designed fighters. "There are side effects," the doctor warned. "You might have headaches. Some pilots report feeling disconnected from their bodies. In rare cases, pilots have trouble separating themselves from their ships even after they disconnect." Min-ho listened carefully. He was 23 years old. He joined the military because his uncle had been a pilot. His uncle died in an accident during training, but Min-ho still wanted to fly. Flying made him feel free. "Will it hurt?" asked another pilot. "During surgery, no. You will be asleep. After surgery, yes. Your brain will need time to adjust," the doctor replied. Min-ho raised his hand. "Will we really be able to beat the Valkyrie with this?" The doctor looked at him seriously. "You will be faster and more precise than any pilot who ever lived. But the Valkyrie have more ships and more experience. So yes, you will have a chance. Whether that chance is enough, that is up to you." All 50 pilots agreed to the surgery. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Ambassador Kang Nari traveled to the council station. She was tired. The last 3 months had been the hardest of her career. The council chamber was full of representatives from different species. Some were friendly to humans. Others were neutral. A few seemed to support the Valkyrie. Archon Thessel was there with his delegation. He looked the same as before, tall, crystalline, and completely sure of himself. The council leader, a being called Vorash, spoke first. "We are here to resolve the dispute between humanity and the Valkyrie. Ambassador Nari, please state your position." Nari stood. She chose her words carefully. "Humanity seeks only one thing, an official apology from the Valkyrie. They must acknowledge that their statement was insulting and wrong. That is all." Thessel stood immediately. "The Valkyrie will not apologize for speaking truth. We stated a fact about military casualties. If humans find facts offensive, that is their weakness, not our mistake. You called our soldiers broken tools." Nari's voice rose despite her efforts to stay calm. "I called them what they are by definition," Thessel replied coolly. "Resources expended in military operations. This is how all logical species view warfare." Vorash tried to mediate. Perhaps both sides could agree to move past this incident without any apology or admission. Nari shook her head. "Impossible. The insult stands unless it is withdrawn." Thessel made a light pattern that might have been laughter. "Then the insult stands. The Valkyrie do not bend to emotional demands." The meeting ended badly. Nari reported back to Earth. War was now almost certain. A reporter named Yoon Hana managed to get an interview with Archon Thessel before he left the council station. She was known for asking hard questions. She sat across from the Valkyrie leader with her recording equipment. "Archon Thessel, do you understand what is about to happen?" she asked. "If you mean war, yes, I understand perfectly," Thessel replied. "Then you know people will die. Humans and Valkyrie. Millions, maybe, Hana said. Thessel's lights shifted calmly. The Velkari have fought 17 wars. We have won all of them. Our military is vast and experienced. If humans choose to attack us over a simple misunderstanding, they will lose. Hana leaned forward. What if you are wrong? What if humans are more dangerous than you think? Impossible, Thessel said with absolute confidence. Humans are a young species. You have passion, but you lack discipline. You have courage, but you lack experience. The Velkari have been fighting wars since before your planet had cities. This will not be a fair fight. Then why not apologize and avoid the war? Hana asked. Because the Velkari do not apologize for facts. If we did that, it would mean we were wrong. We are not wrong, Thessel said. The interview was broadcast everywhere. Humans watched and grew angrier. Even people who thought Captain Taman had overreacted now wanted the Velkari to pay for their arrogance. Captain Lee Taman expected to be arrested when he returned to Earth. He had started an interstellar incident. He thought they might put him in prison or at least kick him out of the military. Instead, they promoted him. General Jiwan called him to her office. Admiral Taman, she said, testing out his new rank. You have caused me enormous problems, I know, General. I am sorry, Taman said. Jiwan waved her hand. Sorry does not help now. What is done is done. The question is what we do next. She pulled up star maps showing Velkari territory and human space. The Velkari think they can crush us easily. They might be right. But if we are going to fight, we need to fight smart. And you, unfortunately, are one of our smartest combat officers. You want me to lead a fleet? Taman asked. I want you to lead the fleet. The first contact fleet, every new ship, every new weapon, every new pilot. You started this war, Taman. Now you are going to fight it. Taman felt the weight of those words. How many people would die because he lost his temper? But he also remembered Thessel's words. Broken tools. If he backed down now, if humanity backed down, what would that say to the galaxy? I accept, he said. Earth's shipyards worked day and night. New ships came off the production lines every week. They were smaller than Velkari ships, but faster and harder to hit. Engineers installed the new weapons. Soldiers trained in new tactics. Dr. Park Jisoo watched from the observation deck of the shipyard. She had not spoken to Taman since they left the Nexus. She was angry at him for starting this. But she was also angry at the Velkari for being so stupid and proud. A voice behind her said, It is beautiful, in a terrible way. She turned to see Commander, now Admiral, Hyun-woo. He stood beside her watching the ships being built. Do you think we can win? Jisoo asked. I think we can survive. That might be enough, Hyun-woo replied. Why are we doing this? Really? Jisoo asked. Is Taman's pride worth all these lives? Hyun-woo was quiet for a long moment. It is not about pride anymore. It is about what kind of people we want to be. The Velkari think soldiers are tools. If we let them say that without challenge, if we just accept it, then maybe they are right. Maybe we are just meat for the grinder. He turned to look at her. But if we stand up and say no, if we fight to prove that every life matters, then maybe we can change something. Not just for us. For everyone. Jisoo did not know if she agreed. But she understood. 3 weeks before the war would officially begin, Admiral Taman gave a speech. It was broadcast to every human colony, every ship, every home. He stood in uniform with Earth visible behind him through a window. People of Earth, he began, you know why we are here. You know what the Velkari said about our soldiers, about our heroes, about everyone who ever gave their life for something they believed in. He paused, letting his words sink in. Some people ask if this war is worth it. They say we should just apologize and move on. Let the Velkari think what they want. But I say no, because this is not just about words. This is about truth. His voice grew stronger. The truth is that every person who wears a uniform, who stands in harm's way, who chooses to protect others, they are not tools. They are not machines. They are human beings with infinite value. They have families who love them. They have dreams they want to chase. They have lives that matter. People watching started to nod. Some started to cry. The Velkari asked why we remember our fallen. Let us show them. For every name they have forgotten, we will remember. For every sacrifice they have dismissed, we will honor. For every life they called a broken tool, we will prove them wrong. Taman said. He finished with words that would be repeated for years to come. This is not a war for territory. This is not a war for resources. This is a war for the soul of humanity. This is a war to prove that some things are worth fighting for. Tea! The Velkari fleet appeared at the edge of the Sol system like a metal storm. 4,000 warships, the largest invasion force the galaxy had ever seen. They came to end the war by destroying humanity's home. Admiral Lee Taman stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the sensors light up with enemy contacts. His own fleet had only 1,200 ships. The numbers were terrible, but he had expected that. All ships, he said calmly into the comm, execute dispersal pattern Delta. Do not let them use their numbers against us. The human fleet broke apart like a flock of birds. Instead of one large formation, they became dozens of smaller squadrons. Each squadron moved independently, attacking from different angles. On Earth's surface, Captain Kwon Ji-young watched the battle through tactical displays. Her soldiers were ready. If the fleet failed, if the Velkari reached Earth, she would fight them in the streets. Just like at New Sejong, but this time for their home planet. Private Lim Dae-hyun stood with his squad. He was not the same scared kid from New Sejong anymore. He had fought in 4 more battles since then. He had seen too much death. But he was still here, still fighting. Think they will make it past the fleet? Another soldier asked. If they do, Dae-hyun said, loading his weapon, we will be waiting. In space, the battle began. The Velkari expected the humans to form a defensive line. Instead, human ships were everywhere, attacking from all sides. The Velkari could not focus their firepower. They kept turning to face new threats. Lieutenant Shin Min-ho launched with what remained of the neural-linked pilot corps. There had been 50 of them at the start of the war. Now there were only 17. The others had died or been pulled from duty when their minds could not handle the neural link anymore. Min-ho could barely remember what it felt like to be fully human. He was more machine than man now. His thoughts were calculations and targeting solutions. His emotions were distant echoes, but he could still fight. That was all that mattered. Gold Squadron, form on me, he said, his voice flat and emotionless. Target the command ship. They dove into the Velkari formation. Thousands of enemy fighters tried to stop them. Minho dodged and weaved through the attacks with inhuman precision. His squadmates followed, moving in perfect coordination. Archon Thessel watched from his command ship. He could not believe what he was seeing. The humans should be losing. His fleet had overwhelming numbers. But the battle was chaos. His ships could not coordinate properly. These humans fought like demons. High Council member Vesrath stood beside him. Archon, we should withdraw and regroup. This attack is not working. Withdraw? Thessel turned on him angrily. The Velkari do not withdraw. We have never lost a war. We will not start now. Pride will destroy us, Vesrath said quietly. Cowardice will destroy us, Thessel corrected. Order all ships to press the attack. Crush them! The Velkari fleet pushed forward, trying to break through to Earth. Admiral Taman saw them coming. He knew what he had to do. All carriers, launch everything. Every fighter, every bomber. Hold nothing back, he ordered. Thousands of human fighters poured into space. The neural-linked pilots led them, creating gaps in the Velkari formation that the regular pilots exploited. The space between Earth and the Velkari fleet became a swirling storm of ships and weapons fire. Ships exploded on both sides. The debris field grew larger by the minute. Human ships were dying, but they were taking Velkari ships with them. For every human ship destroyed, 2 or 3 Velkari ships fell. But it was not enough. The Velkari kept coming. They were getting closer to Earth. Taman could see it on the tactical display. They would break through soon. Then Lieutenant Minho saw his chance. Ahead of him was the Velkari flagship. It was heavily defended, surrounded by layers of shields and weapons. Getting to it would be suicide. Minho calculated the odds. Less than 1% chance of success. But if he destroyed the flagship, if he killed Archon Thessel, the Velkari fleet might collapse. He did not hesitate. His humanity was gone, burned away by the neural link. All that remained was the mission. Squadron, follow me, he said. He accelerated toward the flagship, his neural link pushing his fighter to its limits. His squad mates followed. They knew it was a suicide run. They followed anyway. Velkari defenses tore into them. One fighter exploded, then another, then 3 more. Minho felt them die through the neural link. Brief flashes of pain and then nothing. But he kept going. His fighter was hit. Alarm screamed. The neural link started to burn out, sending feedback through his brain. It felt like his skull was on fire. Minho ignored the pain. He was almost there. 2 more squad mates died. Now it was just Minho and 1 other pilot. The flagship was right in front of them. Its shields were weakening from all the hits they were taking. Minho armed every weapon his fighter had left. He fired everything at once, missiles, torpedoes, energy cannons, everything. The shields collapsed. For just a moment, the flagship's bridge was exposed. Minho pointed his fighter at that opening. "For humanity," he said. They were his last words. He hit the flagship at full speed. The impact drove his fighter deep into the Valkyrie command ship. Then his fighter's reactor exploded. The blast tore through the flagship's interior. It reached the bridge. Archon Thessal had just enough time to realize what was happening before the explosion consumed him. The flagship did not completely destroy, but its command center was gone. Thessal was dead. His senior officers were dead. The Valkyrie fleet suddenly had no leaders. Confusion spread through the Valkyrie ranks. Ships stopped moving, waiting for orders that would never come. Some tried to take command, but nobody knew what Thessal's plan had been. Admiral Taman saw the opportunity. "All ships full offensive. Hit them now while they are confused." The human fleet attacked with everything they had left. Ship after ship fired at the leaderless Valkyrie. The organized Valkyrie formation collapsed into chaos. High Council member Vesrath found himself suddenly in command. He looked at the tactical displays. Half the Valkyrie fleet was destroyed or damaged. The humans were still fighting fiercely, and Earth's planetary defenses had not even fired yet. Vesrath made a decision. He knew Thessal would have called it cowardice, but Vesrath called it wisdom. "All Valkyrie ships, cease fire," he ordered. "Withdraw to minimum safe distance." The Valkyrie fleet pulled back. The battle stopped. Both sides floated in space, surrounded by debris and bodies. Hundreds of thousands were dead, human and Valkyrie both. Earth was saved, but the cost was terrible. 2/3 of the human fleet was gone. The space around Earth looked like a graveyard. Every family on Earth had lost someone in the battle. Admiral Taman sat in his command chair, exhausted. They had won, but it did not feel like victory. It felt like survival. Vesrath sent a message to the human fleet. He asked to speak with their commander. Taman accepted the call. The Valkyrie Council member appeared on the screen. He looked different from Thessil, less arrogant, more tired. "Admiral Taman," Vesrath said, "I am requesting a ceasefire." Taman was surprised. "You are surrendering?" "No, I'm asking both sides to stop killing each other," Vesrath replied. "This war has gone on long enough. Too many have died on both sides." "Then you will apologize?" Taman asked. "That is all we wanted from the start." Vesrath was quiet for a moment. "Can we speak privately? Not as military commanders, but as two beings who are tired of death?" Taman agreed. They met on a neutral station between the two fleets. Just the two of them, no guards, no weapons. They sat across from each other in a small room. Vesrath spoke first. "I have spent this entire war studying your people, trying to understand why you fight so hard for something intangible. I think I finally understand. Explain it to me," Taman said, genuinely curious. "You fight because you believe every individual life has infinite value," Vesrath said. "When Archon Thessal called your soldiers tools, he was denying that value. And if you let that denial stand, if you accepted it, then every sacrifice your people ever made would become meaningless." Taman nodded slowly. "You understand." "I understand now," Vesrath said. "I should have understood before. The Valkyrie forgot something important in our quest for logic and efficiency. We forgot that the point of civilization is to value life, not to use it up." He continued, "Your soldiers are not tools. They are people with families and dreams and hopes. When they die, entire futures die with them. Your memorials are not weakness. They are recognition that every life matters, every single one." Taman felt something loosen in his chest. This Valkyrie understood. Finally, someone understood. "Is that the apology?" Taman asked. "Yes," Vesrath said. "On behalf of the Valkyrie, I apologize. Thessal was wrong. I was wrong. We all were wrong. Your fallen deserve to be remembered. Every one of them." For the first time in months, Taman felt peace. "I accept your apology. Will your people accept it?" Vesrath asked. "I think so," Taman said. "We never wanted this war. We just wanted acknowledgement that our dead mattered. Now we have it." The formal peace ceremony happened 2 weeks later. Representatives from across the galaxy attended. Ambassador Kang Nari stood on one side. Vesrath, now the leader of the Valkyrie, stood on the other. Vesrath spoke to the assembled crowd. The Velkari Empire apologizes to humanity. We failed to understand the sacred nature of sacrifice. We dismissed the lives of your fallen as broken tools. We were wrong. The stars looked beautiful through the viewing port of the space station. Captain Lee Taman stood there watching ships come and go. He was nervous but excited. Today humanity would meet a new alien race called the Velkari. It was supposed to be a good day. Taman commanded a ship called Horizon's Edge. He was a good captain. Everyone said so. He was calm and smart, and he always thought before acting. That was why Earth sent him to this meeting. The station was called the Nexus. It floated in neutral space where different species could meet safely. Dr. Park Jisoo walked up beside him. She was the language expert on his crew. She could speak 5 alien languages already and was learning a 6th. "Are you ready, Captain?" she asked. Taman nodded. "As ready as I can be." "What do you know about the Velkari?" Jisoo pulled out her data pad. "They are very advanced. More advanced than us, actually. They look like tall crystals that walk and talk. They use light and sound to communicate. Their civilization is thousands of years old." "Do they seem friendly?" Taman asked. "They seem curious about us," Jisoo replied. "That is a good sign." Behind them, Commander Choi Hyunwoo checked his uniform one last time. Hyunwoo was Taman's second in command. He used to be a soldier before becoming a ship officer. He had scars from old battles, but he never talked about them much. "The ambassador is ready," he told Taman. Ambassador Kang Nari joined them. She was Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. She had done this many times before with other alien species. She smiled at Taman. "Relax, Captain. This is just a conversation. We talk, they talk, maybe we become friends, simple." But Taman could not shake a strange feeling in his stomach. Something felt wrong, though he did not know what. The meeting hall was enormous. The ceiling was so high that it disappeared into darkness. Strange plants from different worlds grew along the walls. The air smelled like flowers and something else Taman could not identify. At the far end of the hall, the Velkari waited. They were beautiful in a strange way. Their bodies looked like walking sculptures made of crystal. Light moved inside them, changing colors as they moved. The tallest one stepped forward. This was Archon Thessel, their leader. "Welcome, humans," Thessel said. His voice sounded like music and wind chimes together. "We have watched your species for many years. We are pleased to finally meet you." Ambassador Nari bowed slightly. "The honor is ours, Archon Thessel. Humanity is grateful for this opportunity." The first day went well. Both sides talked about trade. The Velkari had technology that could help human colonies. Humans had resources the Velkari wanted. They discussed art and culture. Dr. Jisoo impressed everyone by speaking in the Velkari language. The Velkari seemed pleased. Captain Taman presented a gift from Earth, a crystal sculpture of a dove. "On Earth, doves represent peace," he explained. "We hope for peace between our peoples." Archon Thessel accepted the gift gracefully. "A beautiful sentiment," he said. That evening, Taman felt better about things. Maybe his worried feeling had been wrong. Maybe this would turn out fine. The second day started with a formal dinner. The hall was decorated with banners from both civilizations. Food from Earth and Velkari worlds filled long tables. Music played softly in the background. Everyone seemed relaxed and happy. Archon Thessel stood to give a speech. He talked about friendship and cooperation. He mentioned how much the Velkari could learn from humans, and how much humans could learn from the Velkari. People nodded and smiled. Then Thessel said he had been studying human history. He found it fascinating how humans solve their problems. "I have a question," he said. "It is about something I do not understand." "Please ask anything," Ambassador Nari replied. The seal's light pattern shifted inside his crystal body. "I have seen that humans build monuments to their fallen soldiers. You create special days to remember those who died in wars. You write their names on walls and tell stories about them. I am curious, why do you do this?" The room went quiet. It seemed like a reasonable question. Taman felt his heart beat faster. Something in the way Thessel asked made him nervous. Thessel continued. "In Velkari culture, soldiers are tools for a purpose. When a tool breaks during use, we simply get a new one. We do not memorialize every broken machine. So why do humans commemorate their soldiers? They were simply tools that broke during use. Is this not the logical way to view combat casualties?" The silence in the room became heavy. Captain Taman felt blood rush to his face. His hands curled into fists under the table. Beside him, Commander Hyunwoo had gone completely still. His jaw was tight. Taemin's grandfather had been a soldier. Lee Dong-hyun had died saving civilians during a war. Taemin grew up hearing stories about him, about how brave he was, about how he chose to stay behind so others could escape. His grandfather was not a tool. He was a hero. He was family. Commander Hyunwoo had lost friends in battle. Good men and women who laughed and cried and had families. They were not tools either. Dr. Jisoo noticed the tension immediately. She tried to say something, but Taemin was already standing. "Captain," Nari started to say. Taemin ignored her. He looked directly at Archon Thessel. His voice was cold and controlled, which made it more frightening than if he had yelled. "Let me explain something to you, Archon. Every soldier is somebody's child, somebody's parent, somebody's friend. They are not tools. They are people who chose to put themselves between danger and those they love." Thessel's light patterns flickered with confusion, but they died. The outcome was the same. The outcome? Taemin's voice grew harder. The outcome is that those people will never see another sunrise. They will never hold their families again. They gave up everything, their future, their dreams, their lives for something bigger than themselves. And you call them broken tools? The Velkari seemed genuinely puzzled. "I meant no offense. You meant no offense?" Taemin interrupted. "You just compared my grandfather and every person who ever died defending others to a broken machine." "And you see nothing wrong with that?" Ambassador Nari stood up. "Captain Taemin, perhaps we should take a break." "No," Taemin said firmly. He looked at Thessel. "This conversation has revealed something important, Archon. Your people and my people see the universe very differently. Too differently, perhaps." He turned and walked toward the door. Hyunwoo followed without hesitation. Jisoo looked torn but eventually went with them. Ambassador Nari stayed behind, trying to salvage the situation. "Please understand, our captain lost family in war. He is emotional right now." "This is what concerns us," Thessel said. "Humans let emotion cloud their judgment. If you cannot discuss difficult topics rationally, perhaps you are not ready for galactic society." That night, Taemin could not sleep. He kept hearing Thessel's words. Broken tools. Broken tools. His grandfather was not a broken tool. The next morning, a message arrived from Archon Thessel. It was addressed to the human delegation. Taemin read it with Hyunwoo and Jisoo watching. The message said that the Velkari had decided humans were too emotionally unstable for meaningful cooperation. It said that perhaps when humanity matured and learned to separate emotion from logic, they could try again. Then came the final line. "If your soldiers were truly valuable, they would not have died. Their deaths proved they were simply inadequate tools for the task." Taemin read that last line 3 times. Something inside him broke. "Don't do it," Jisoo said. She knew what he was thinking. "Please, Captain, don't send anything while you are angry." But Taemin was already recording a response. His words were quiet and calm, which somehow made them more terrible. "Archon Thessel, you asked why we remember our fallen. You are about to find out. You want to know what happens when you insult the sacrifice of every human who ever stood up for something they believed in? You are going to learn." Jisoo grabbed his arm. "Taemin, stop. Think about what you are doing." He pulled away gently and sent the message. Hyunwoo stood silent. Finally, he spoke. "What have we done?" Taemin looked out at the stars. "We have drawn a line. They can either apologize and acknowledge they were wrong, or they can face the consequences." "War," Jisoo whispered. "You are talking about war." Taemin did not answer. He did not need to. Everyone in the room knew what was coming. News of the incident spread fast. Soon all of humanity knew about the insult, and humanity was not happy. 6 months had passed since the Battle of New Sejong. The war had spread like fire across a dozen star systems. Everywhere you looked, humans and Velkari were fighting. And everywhere you looked, people were dying. General Nam Ji-won sat in her office looking at casualty reports. The numbers made her sick. 20,000 human soldiers dead, 40,000 wounded, 38 ships destroyed. And those were just the military numbers. Civilians had died too, caught in the fighting. The Velkari had lost even more. But they had more to lose. Their empire was bigger. They could replace their losses easier than humanity could. The problem was that nobody could win. The Velkari had better technology and more ships. But humans fought smarter and harder. Every battle ended the same way. Both sides hurt, neither side defeated. Ji-won called Admiral Lee Taemin on a secure channel. His face appeared on her screen. He looked older now. There were dark circles under his eyes. His hair had started to turn gray. How long can we keep this up? Jiwon asked him. As long as we have to, Taemin replied. But his voice was tired. That is not an answer. Our economy is collapsing. Every factory is making weapons instead of things people need. Food is being rationed. Every single family has lost someone, Jiwon said. I know, Taemin said quietly. Do you think I do not see the cost? But what choice do we have? If we stop now, if we surrender, what does that tell the galaxy? That the Velkari were right? That our soldiers are just tools? Jiwon had no answer to that. Yoon Hana, the war reporter, stood in the ruins of another battlefield. Bodies lay everywhere, human and Velkari both. Medics moved among them, trying to save whoever they could. She saw a young soldier sitting alone, staring at nothing. His uniform said his name was Private Lim Daehyun. She recognized him from New Sejong. He had survived that battle. Now he was here. Can I talk to you? She asked gently. Daehyun looked up at her with empty eyes. What do you want to know? How are you holding up? Hana asked. Daehyun laughed, but it was not a happy sound. My whole squad is dead. We held a bridge for 3 hours against Velkari warriors. I am the only one left. So how do you think I am holding up? I am sorry, Hana said. You know what the crazy thing is? Daehyun said. I still do not know if this is worth it. All this death, all this pain. Because the Velkari said something mean? It sounds stupid when you say it like that. Hana sat down beside him. It is not stupid. They did not just say something mean. They denied the value of every person who ever sacrificed for others. That is worth fighting for, is it not? I guess, Daehyun said. I just wish fewer people had to die for it. Me too, Hana said softly. Lieutenant Shin Minho flew his 87th combat mission. He was the highest-scoring pilot in the fleet now. 23 confirmed kills. Everyone said he was a hero, but Minho did not feel like a hero. He barely felt human anymore. The neural link had changed him. When he was not flying, he felt slow and clumsy. His natural body seemed weak and limited. He dreamed about being connected to his fighter, about the freedom and power it gave him. His hands shook when he was not in the cockpit. He forgot to eat sometimes. Other pilots tried to talk to him, but he could not focus on their words. All he could think about was flying. The doctors were worried, but they needed him. Every mission he flew saved other pilots' lives. So they let him keep flying, even though they knew it was destroying him. During this mission, Minho's squadron attacked a Velkari supply convoy. It should have been easy. But the Velkari had set a trap. Suddenly, Velkari fighters were everywhere. Minho's wingmate, a pilot named Oh Seojin, took a hit. His fighter spun out of control. I am hit, Seojin shouted. I cannot stabilize. Minho wanted to help, but his neural link was already calculating. Seojin's fighter was too damaged. Trying to save him would risk the whole squadron. The logical choice was to leave him. Minho made the logical choice. Squadron, continue the mission. We cannot stop. But Seojin... Another pilot started to protest. Is already dead, Minho said coldly. Focus on the mission. Later, after they returned to base, the other pilots looked at Minho differently, like he was something scary, something not quite human. Maybe they were right. Captain Oh Seojin, not the same Oh Seojin who was a pilot, led a special forces team deep into Velkari space. Their mission was to destroy a shipyard where the Velkari built their biggest warships. Seojin's team was 12 people. They were the best of the best. They had trained together for months. They trusted each other with their lives. The mission went wrong from the start. Their stealth ship was detected approaching the shipyard. They had to make an emergency landing on the station. Alarms were already going off. Change of plans, Seojin told his team. We go in loud and fast. Plant the charges, blow the yard, and try to escape. They fought their way through the station. Velkari security forces were everywhere. Seojin's team was outnumbered 10-1, but they kept moving, kept fighting. One by one, his team members fell. First, it was Private Kim Haru, shot while covering their advance. Then Lieutenant Baek Sora, killed by an explosion. Then 3 more in a running battle through the station's corridors. By the time they reached the shipyard's core, only 4 team members were left. They planted their explosive charges on the main reactor, but more Velkari were coming. Hundreds of them, go! Seojin ordered his remaining team. I will hold them here and detonate manually. Captain, no, one of them started. That is an order. Seojin shouted. Go now! 3 of them ran. They might make it out. Maybe. Seojin stayed behind, firing at the approaching Valkyrie. His gun ran out of ammunition. He drew his knife and kept fighting. He was wounded now, bleeding from multiple hits. He thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was 6 years old. He would never see her grow up. Never teach her to ride a bike. Never walk her down the aisle at her wedding. The Valkyrie were almost on him. Seojin put his hand on the detonator. Tell my daughter I love her, he said into his comm. Then he pressed the button. The explosion destroyed the shipyard and 3 completed Dreadnought-class ships. It was a major blow to the Valkyrie war effort. Seojin's mission was a success, but it cost him his life and 8 of his teammates. Only 3 survived. Far from the battles, in the Valkyrie High Council chambers, a council member named Vesrath read reports. He had been researching human culture since the war began. He wanted to understand these strange beings who fought so fiercely. What he found surprised him. Humans had been fighting wars for their entire history. But they did not just fight for territory or resources. They fought for ideas, for freedom, for justice, for honor. Things that could not be touched or measured. The Valkyrie did not understand this. They fought only for practical reasons. They expanded their empire because it was logical. They won battles through superior numbers and technology. But humans were different. Humans could lose a battle and still keep fighting. They could be outnumbered and still attack. They valued intangible things more than their own lives. Vesrath brought his findings to Archon Thessal. We may have made a mistake, he said carefully. These humans are not like other species we have conquered. Thessal barely looked at him. They are still losing. Their economy is failing. Their casualties mount every day. It is only a matter of time. But what if time is what they have more of than us? Vesrath asked. What if they never surrender? What if this war goes on for years? Then it goes on for years, Thessal said stubbornly. The Valkyrie do not admit mistakes. We do not apologize. We will win because we must win. Vesrath said nothing more, but he knew something Thessal did not. Pride could destroy an empire just as easily as defeat could. Back on Earth, Admiral Taman was called to meet with General Ji-Wan. He thought it might be good news. Maybe the Valkyrie wanted to negotiate. Instead, Ji-Wan showed him the reality. Factories were running out of raw materials. Food production had dropped by 30%. Protests were starting in some cities, not against the war, but about the hardships it caused. How long can we sustain this? Ji-Wan asked him again. Taman looked at the numbers. He was a smart man. He could see what she saw. Maybe a year, maybe less. And the Valkyrie, they can last longer than we can, Taman admitted. Then what do we do? Ji-Wan asked. Taman was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. We keep fighting. We make every battle cost them dearly. We hurt them enough that they decide peace is better than victory. It is our only chance. And if that does not work, Ji-Wan pressed, then we lose, Taman said simply. But we lose standing up. We lose fighting for what we believe. That has to count for something. Ambassador Kang Nari tried one more time to make peace. She went to the Galactic Council and proposed a ceasefire. Both sides would return to their pre-war borders. No apologies needed. Just stop fighting. Many council members supported the idea. Even some Valkyrie thought it made sense, but Archon Thessal rejected it immediately. The war ends with human surrender or human destruction. Those are the only options. Nari stood up in the council chamber. You are going to destroy both our civilizations over pride. Is your ego really worth millions of lives? This is not about ego, Thessal replied coldly. This is about what is true. We stated a fact. Humans became emotional. We will not apologize for speaking truth. The colony world of New Sejong was home to 3 million people. It was a beautiful planet with blue oceans and green forests. Children played in parks. Farmers grew food in vast fields. People lived normal, peaceful lives. Then the Valkyrie fleet arrived. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the sensors. 300 Valkyrie warships had just appeared at the edge of the system. His own fleet had only 80 ships. The math was simple and terrifying. Sir, we are receiving a transmission, the communications officer said. A Valkyrie commander named Krasix appeared on the screen. His crystalline body glowed with confidence. Human vessels, you will evacuate this planet immediately. New Sejong now belongs to the Valkyrie Empire. You have 6 hours to comply. Hyunwoo looked at the image of Krasix for a long moment. Then he smiled. Come and take it, the transmission ended. Around him, his bridge crew waited nervously. They all knew what was coming. All ships, Hyunwoo ordered calmly. Move to defensive positions around the asteroid field. Execute Plan Hammer and Anvil. The human ships scattered, heading toward the ring of asteroids that circled New Sejong. They were not running away. They were getting ready. On the planet's surface, Captain Kwon Ji-young watched the sky. She commanded the ground defense forces. 50,000 soldiers were spread across the capital city. They had been preparing for this day for weeks. They will come, she told her officers. When Krasix realizes he cannot win easily in space, he will try to take the planet by force. That is when we show them what human soldiers can really do. Her second in command, a young officer named Private Lim Dae-hyun, looked nervous. He was only 19. This would be his first real battle. Captain, what if we lose? Ji-young put a hand on his shoulder. Then we lose fighting. But we do not surrender. We do not give up. We make them pay for every meter of ground. Understood? Yes, ma'am, Dae-hyun said, standing straighter. In space, the Valkyrie fleet moved forward in perfect formation. They were confident. They had done this many times before. 300 ships against 80 was not even a fair fight. But when they reached the asteroid field, the human ships did something unexpected. They did not stand and fight. Instead, they darted between the asteroids, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. A Valkyrie ship would lock onto a human vessel, preparing to fire. Then the human ship would duck behind an asteroid. By the time the Valkyrie ship moved around the asteroid, the human was gone. Krasix grew frustrated. Stop hiding and fight, he ordered his fleet. But the humans did not stop hiding. They kept moving, kept dodging. And every few minutes, a human ship would pop out from behind an asteroid, fire its new quantum torpedoes, and disappear again. The Valkyrie shields could not handle the rapid hits. One by one, Valkyrie ships started to take damage. Lieutenant Shin Minho flew his fighter with 49 others. They were the neural-linked pilots. Minho felt strange. He could feel the fighter like it was part of his body. When he thought about turning left, the ship turned left. When he wanted to go faster, the ship accelerated. It was incredible. It was also terrifying. Gold Squadron, follow me, Minho said into his comm. He dove toward a Valkyrie battleship, his squadron following in perfect formation. The Valkyrie fired at them. Defensive weapons filled space with energy beams, but Minho and his pilots moved like water, flowing around the attacks. Their neural links let them react faster than any normal pilot could. They swarmed the battleship like angry bees. Each fighter fired at the same spot on the Valkyrie shields again and again. Dr. Park Ji-soo had discovered that Valkyrie shields weakened when hit repeatedly in the same location. After 20 hits, the shields failed. After 30 hits, the battleship's hull started to crack. Break off, Minho ordered. The squadron scattered just before the battleship exploded. Minho felt a rush of victory. But he also felt something else, a strange emptiness, like he was watching himself from far away. He pushed the feeling aside. There was no time to worry about it now. Commander Krasix could not believe what was happening. His fleet was supposed to be winning easily. Instead, they were barely holding their own. These humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. Forget the space battle, he ordered. Send down the assault troops. Take the planet itself. Thousands of Valkyrie soldiers descended on New Sejong's capital city. They were huge and powerful, each one standing over 2 meters tall. Their crystalline bodies were incredibly strong. In hand-to-hand combat, one Valkyrie could fight 5 humans, but Captain Ji-young did not plan to fight hand-to-hand. The Valkyrie landed in the city's main square. They looked around, expecting to see human soldiers rushing to meet them. Instead, they saw empty streets. Where are they? A Valkyrie warrior asked. The answer came in the form of an explosion. Buildings on both sides of the square erupted, collapsing onto the Valkyrie troops. Humans had rigged the buildings with explosives, turning them into traps. The Valkyrie who survived the collapse found themselves under fire from every window, every rooftop, every doorway. Human soldiers popped up, fired, and disappeared. The city had become a maze of death. Private Lim Dae-hyun crouched behind a wall with his squad. His hands shook as he held his rifle. A Valkyrie warrior appeared around the corner. Dae-hyun fired, but his shots bounced off the Valkyrie's armor. The Valkyrie raised its weapon to shoot back. Then Captain Ji-young appeared behind it, placing a magnetic mine on its back. She dove for cover. The mine exploded and the Valkyrie fell. "Are you okay?" Ji-young asked Dae-hyun. "I froze," Dae-hyun admitted, ashamed. "Everyone freezes their first time. What matters is what you do next," Ji-young said. "Now come on. We have more work to do." The battle raged for hours. The Valkyrie were stronger and tougher, but the humans were smarter and more adaptable. They turned every building into a fortress, every street into a trap. Admiral Hunwoo watched from his ship as both battles continued. He was losing ships. The Valkyrie were slowly pushing through the asteroid field. On the ground, human casualties were mounting. They needed help. Where was Admiral Taemin? Then, like a miracle, new ships appeared on the sensors. Lots of new ships. The first contact fleet had arrived. Admiral Lee Taemin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the carrier Indomitable. Behind him were humanity's newest and most powerful warships, the Vengeance-class carriers. Each one held hundreds of fighters and enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Dr. Jisoo, confirm the Valkyrie shield frequencies, Taemin ordered. Park Jisoo, now his strategic advisor, checked her data. Confirmed, Admiral. Their shields cycle at exactly the pattern we predicted. The quantum torpedoes will work, Taemin nodded. All ships engage the enemy. Target their command vessel first. Let us show them what happens when they insult humanity. The first contact fleet crashed into the Valkyrie formation like a hammer. The new ships were faster and better armed than anything the Valkyrie had faced. And with Dr. Jisoo's analysis of their weaknesses, every shot counted. Lieutenant Minho and his squadron launched from the Indomitable. There were new fighters now, hundreds of them. They filled space like a swarm of metal insects. The Valkyrie tried to fall back into formation, but Taemin did not give them time. He split his fleet into 3 groups, attacking from different angles. The Valkyrie could not defend everywhere at once. Commander Krasik saw his fleet falling apart. How was this possible? The humans were winning. Actually winning. Retreat, he ordered. All ships retreat to hyperspace. But Admiral Taemin was not done. Do not let them escape. Pursue and destroy. The human fighters chased the fleeing Valkyrie ships. More Valkyrie vessels exploded. It was not a battle anymore. It was a slaughter. Finally, what was left of the Valkyrie fleet jumped to hyperspace. Out of 300 ships, only 150 escaped. The rest were destroyed or too damaged to move. On the planet, the Valkyrie ground forces realized they were cut off. With no fleet to support them, they were trapped. Most surrendered. Those who did not were hunted down by Captain Ji-young's soldiers. The Battle of New Sejong was over. Humanity had won, but victory came at a terrible cost. 37 human ships were destroyed in the fighting. 8,000 soldiers died on the ground. The capital city was in ruins. Fires burned everywhere. The air smelled like smoke and death. Admiral Taemin walked through the destroyed city the next day. He saw buildings reduced to rubble. He saw soldiers helping wounded civilians. He saw children crying for their parents. He came to a makeshift memorial that soldiers had built. It was just a wall with names written on it, the names of everyone who died in the battle. There were so many names. Taemin took out a marker and added another name to the wall, Lee Jinwoo. His younger brother had been serving on one of the ships that was destroyed. Taemin did not even know Jinwoo was at New Sejong until after the battle. By then it was too late. Captain Ji-young found him there. She was covered in dirt and dried blood. Her uniform was torn. She looked exhausted. My soldiers are asking questions, she told Taemin. They want to know if this was worth it. All these deaths, all this destruction. Was it worth it for honor? Taemin stared at the wall of names. Ask them this instead. Would they rather live in a galaxy where the Valkyrie are right? Where their sacrifice means nothing? Where they are just broken tools? Ji-young was quiet for a moment. I will tell them what you said. I think most will understand.